Don't worry, Stacey, I'm not going to say it. I'd like to, my name is Winston Delorme. I'm a councillor with the MD Greenview, and I am from Ward 1, which is the co-ops and enterprises are surrounding Grand Cache. I'd like to begin acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of the lands that we are on today, which includes the traditional territories of the Mountain Métis, Assiniboine Nation, Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, and Horse Lake First Nation. While we engage today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we all call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of Indigenous people and their cultures on the land we share. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Delorme. And now it is my pleasure to announce the MD of Greenview, Reeve, Tyler Olsen.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to host our municipal partners, industry stakeholders, and honored guests from the province here today for our first annual Greenview Industrial Stakeholder event. I am Tyler Olsen, Reeve for the MD of Greenview, and on behalf of Council, I would like to welcome our Honourable Premier Jason Kenney, Minister Travis Toews, and Minister Tracy Allard. And also spread out among our tables are our current councillors, Deputy Reeve Bill Smith. If you guys could just stand and give a wave so everyone sees as we go. Councillor Tom Burton.
Oh, I can't get up and go.
Councillor Dale Smith. Councillor Winston Delorme. Councillor Dwayne Dito. Councillor Dave Barry. Councillor Jennifer Scott. Councillor Sally Rawson. Councillor Christine Schlief, and Councillor Ryan Raslaff. I would be remiss if we did not mention our past councillors, Dale Gervais. Come on, Dale, you can still stand. Roxy Chapman, if she's here, I'm not sure if she made it today. Sean Acton, I don't think made it either, and Les Ernest. Without some of their original ideas and previous years of hard work they put into this project, we wouldn't have a chance of standing here today. I would also like to thank our CAO, Stacey Wabick, and our administration who worked tirelessly to put this event on today. And we also need to recognize our Executive Director from the Greenview Industrial Gateway, Kyle Reiling, for his passion, drive, and tireless effort to move this project forward. And the problem with Kyle is he's the hardest guy to slow down to government speed. We cannot forget that this all started as the tri-municipal partnership with the County of Grande Prairie and the City of Grande Prairie. Without the original regional collaboration, we wouldn't be here either. So thank you. This is an exciting time to be Reeve for the MD of Greenview. Today's event and announcement are a testament to how collaborative effort and commitment towards sustainable development can impact economic growth. Our municipality is lucky to have the abundance of natural resources, and we understand that this must be managed and developed in a responsible manner. With this in mind, the design for the Greenview Industrial Gateway has evolved. Today's significant milestone for the project will provide tremendous momentum, creating long-term local jobs and economic spin-offs, with these spin-offs felt throughout the whole region of our economy. I would sincerely like to thank everyone for joining us today and look forward to what the future brings, not only for the MD of Greenview, but for the entire Peace region and the province of Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you, Reeve. Yes, tolerance and impatience are two of my my character flaws. Ooh, sorry, that as well. With that, I think we're ready.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Kyle. And thanks, Reeve Olsen and the entire council of the Municipal District of Greenview for allowing us to be here today. It truly is an honor. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. As you saw from the video, my name is Geoff Bury. I'm the president and CEO of Northern Petrochemical Corporation. I was born in Edmonton, currently live in Calgary with Dawn, my wife of 35 years, who's here with us today. We have 3 children. They're all grown up now and making their way in the world. I guess I'm really trying to find the right words here. Really happy to be here today because I've spent most of my professional career working internationally, living in Canada, living in Alberta, but working internationally. So this is the first time I've had an opportunity to really develop a project here at home in Alberta. Next slide, please. So Northern Petrochem, we're developing a $2.5 billion facility that's designed to produce products that will help to reduce the greenhouse emissions around the world. Specifically, we'll be producing around 200 million tons per day, that's a lot, tons per year of blue methanol and blue hydrogen that will be converted to ammonia and shipped internationally. We expect the construction to start in the spring of 2023 and be completed in the fall of 2026. And once the plant is fully operational, we'll be consuming approximately 200 million cubic feet of natural gas per day as a feedstock. Next slide, please. When we were looking around the world, really, for a location for this facility, we landed on Alberta, not just because I'm an Alberta born and raised boy, but also because of the Alberta government's support and for the petrochemical industry and making that petrochemical industry of Alberta a priority, specifically being supported through the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. Thank you, Premier Kenney, for that. What that really does, it makes Alberta competitive on the world stage as far as petrochemical projects are concerned. Now, Alberta's a big place, so we could have put this plant anywhere in Alberta, but we chose the Greenview Industrial Gateway because it, quite frankly, has all of the necessary key factors to make a project a success. Of course, the availability of land, the abundant feedstock, the water, the power, the access to rail, and perhaps most importantly, the ability to capture and store carbon so that we can make this project as green as possible. We believe what the MD of Greenview has done here with Greenview Industrial Gateway is really set up a model that will be the future for industrial development around the world. We truly believe that, and we believe GIG is the place to put this facility and potentially, hopefully, many, many more. Next slide, please. So for our technology, we've selected KBR and Johnson Matthey's ammonia and methanol co-production process. I'm very happy to have with us here today Graham Hoare, who's the Vice President of Ammonia, Syngas, and Fertilizer for KBR. They've got a technology, a combined technology between them and Johnson Matthey that has the ability to lower the cost of capital costs and operating costs and also reduce emissions. And then when you combine that with carbon capture and storage technology, we believe that this project is going to be a key part of Alberta's transition to a clean energy future. Next slide, please. So why methanol and why ammonia? Methanol demand worldwide exceeds something like 80 million tons per year, and it's used for a variety of different products in the construction industry to make synthetic fibers and for low emission fuels. The global demand for ammonia That's where it really gets interesting. Today, it's around 180, 190 million tons per year demand. Most of that, as many of you in this room will know, is used to produce fertilizer, form of urea, direct applications, etc. But the real interesting part is how ammonia is going to play into the future of a blue hydrogen economy. Ammonia is an ideal carrier for hydrogen, so it makes moving hydrogen over distance much easier than moving hydrogen in its natural state. And ammonia is also a zero-emission fuel in its own right. So we really believe that the ammonia market is going to take off and grow dramatically over the coming years. And I believe that's a belief that's also shared by the Alberta government, based on my conversations with them. Next slide, please. So, what's important here in Grande Prairie and region? What will this project do for the region? I think, firstly, a direct impact of this project will be job creation. The project will create up to 4,000 jobs during the construction period. That's a lot of jobs, and I'm wondering how we're going to find enough people to fill those jobs, but that's a problem for another day. And perhaps more importantly, up to 400 full-time permanent jobs once this plant becomes operational. Those will be good, high-quality jobs, managers, plant operators, support staff. We're going to need a whole variety of people, and we hope to be working with the Grande Prairie Regional College to help develop programs to ensure that those positions can be filled by people in the local region. We also have a diversity and inclusion policy that will ensure that those jobs are available to everybody in this region. The other area where it's really going to benefit the region is through supporting the local businesses. The local businesses, we're going to need all sorts of different types of support and service: construction, fabrication, real estate, food services. All of that is going to be services that we're going to need, and we're going to be looking to the local community to provide. And I'm sure the local community will be there and ready to support us as we need that. And finally, I think Premier Kenney will like this one. The project over its life is estimated to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 billion of tax revenue. So we're really excited to be here. We're really excited about the opportunity, and personally, I'm very happy to be back home in Alberta and driving forward with this project here. So I'd like to thank you all for your time today, and look forward to hearing more about everything. Thank you.
Tremendous day for the region. Such that we can move forward with such a significant announcement at this event. As mentioned, NPC and the MD of Greenview have entered into a purchase sales agreement for approximately 295 acres within the Greenview Industrial Gateway. Can I please get the reeve to come up here? And with that, we will signify the actual signing of the purchase sales agreement. And at this moment in time, it's my pleasure to welcome the Minister of Finance and MLA for the Grande Prairie Wapiti area, Mr. Travis Toews.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle, and it's really a privilege to be part of this announcement today. I know how much time and effort has been extolled to get to where we are today. I do want to acknowledge the municipalities. I see we have Mayor Clayton, Reeve Beaupre, and of course Reeve Olsen here today. This has been a significant effort for years and years to get to where there's effectively an official announcement, and an anchor tenant for the Greenview Industrial Gateway. And I do want to also acknowledge, as I was reminded again as we watched that video, of the importance of infrastructure. And I just have to say, again, my appreciation to the County of Grande Prairie, and especially to the MD of Greenview for partnering with the Government of Alberta on the twinning of Highway 40. We were able to pull a key piece of infrastructure build, that necessary build forward by about 4 years as we partnered together. So again, it's just a great privilege to work with forward-thinking, forward-looking municipalities and leadership. From day one, our government has worked hard to position the Alberta economy, to position the province for disproportionate investment attraction and economic recovery and growth. And we've done that through a number of initiatives. Firstly, we have brought Alberta's business tax rate down by 1/3, moving it from 12 to 8%. We've worked hard on regulatory modernization, red tape reduction. And while our work is not done there, we've managed to move the province from an F, according to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, to an A on regulatory environment. But we're not done yet. That remains a priority every day as we work at the Government of Alberta. We introduced the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. This program would allow the province of Alberta to compete. Compete with other jurisdictions such as Texas and Louisiana and elsewhere, other jurisdictions around the world. And it's incredibly gratifying today to start to see a response to the competitiveness of the Alberta economy. In fact, we've also established Invest Alberta, an entity whose sole single job is to get out and sell the incredible value proposition that Alberta has today. And Invest Alberta is doing a really great job of that. So again, it's very gratifying to see investments start to not trickle into this province, but to pour into this province. We know the importance of that investment for job creation, to create opportunities for our small businesses, the lifeblood of our communities, and to create wealth for the province of Alberta. We know the importance of creating wealth to deliver healthcare, to deliver education into the future. And so I want to thank Geoff and the team at Northern Petrochemical for choosing Alberta for this project, for choosing this region as for this project. I mention to the Premier every day, and I know my colleague, MLA Tracy Allard, does the same. You know, this region is a wealth creation engine for the province. As we are that wealth creation engine of the nation, this region is that to the province of Alberta. And so again, thank you, Geoff, to you and your team for choosing this region. So as you commence on your next stages, design and engineering, and additional due diligence. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to your progress here in this region. Thank you.
And at this moment in time, it is my pleasure to welcome the Honourable Premier Jason Kenney.
Well, what an exciting day to be here, Geoff. Thank you so much for your leadership and the sign of hope and optimism that this investment announcement today brings. Councillor Delorme, thank you for recognizing our traditional First Nations territory here and our First Nations partners. Reeve Olsen, thank you so much to you and your council. Congratulations to those who newly elected and to those who went before you with the vision of making this a hub for industrial development. Mayors Clayton and Reeve Beaupre, and of course Minister Toews and MLA Allard, thank you so much all for being here for another major step forward in Alberta's economic renewal. This is an exciting day, not just for Northwest Alberta, for this part of the province, but for the entire province. It's more evidence that Alberta's economic recovery is for real, and it is big. With the, as Travis says, a huge momentum that today's announcement adds to, attracting job-creating investment that diversifies our economy, and in big projects like this also reduces emissions. While there are apparently 30,000 people filling up hotel rooms in Glasgow right now for a global talk fest, you know what we Albertans are doing? We're getting the job done. We're actually cutting emissions through real investments for technology that actually changes the game. And I believe that is real leadership. Not seeking to shut down the modern industrial economy or punish people for living normal lives in a cold climate, but rather investing in technology that bends the curve down and shows real leadership. This is so exciting. There's so much that's exciting about this announcement. First of all, Travis talked about our recovery plan. We call it a bold plan to build, to diversify, and to create new jobs. It's exactly what this announcement does today. But within that recovery plan, we, about a year ago, released our Alberta's natural gas vision. We actually appointed a designated minister for natural gas for the first time in Alberta history, because that was an industry that had kind of gotten pushed to the margins because of oil and the oil sands in particular. For too long, natural gas had been a bit of an afterthought in Edmonton and in the Department of Energy in policy decisions. But we've seen the huge potential for natural gas to be a key part of our economic future in this region more than any other. So we appointed a minister for natural gas. I want to give him a shout out, Dale Nally, for the great work that he has done to develop the natural gas vision, a key part of which has been Alberta's petrochemical strategy and the hydrogen roadmap that we released just a week ago after 18 months of close work with industry partners, First Nations, municipalities, and others. And so today's announcement is just right on the mark. Ammonia and methanol production is a hugely important part of developing Alberta's hydrogen economy and pursuing new uses for Alberta's natural gas reserves, which of course are particularly abundant up here in the Montney. So today's $2.5 billion announcement by Northern Petrochemical Corporation is another vote of confidence in Alberta's hydrogen advantage. It adds billions in investment to billions in investment announcements that have already been made and that are forthcoming. So thank you again, Geoff, to you and your team at Northern Petrochemical for recognizing the potential right here in your home province of Alberta, and for bringing your ingenuity, your entrepreneurial drive right here to your home territory. There's good reason to be excited about the potential of today's announcement. Not only does it represent $2.5 billion investment that will create 4,000 construction jobs and over 400 long-term positions, but the ripple effect of the investment will be felt throughout the region and the whole province as it creates jobs directly and indirectly and contributes to our economy and our diversification. Alberta is, of course, home to a massive supply of natural gas, as I was saying, but also to advanced carbon capture and storage infrastructure, to a highly skilled workforce, the youngest and best educated workforce in Canada, and the most pro-business policy setting of any place in Canada, I would say darn near any place in North America. Let me pause on, there are just so many, this is a win-win-win-win. Job creation, first and foremost, because even though I know many businesses are talking about labor shortages, we still have 7.5% unemployment. And we are getting back to the Alberta that will bring people as a magnet to this province to work hard and build our future. It also represents diversification because it takes our greatest natural resource, our hydrocarbon energy, in this case our natural gas reserves, which are, I think, the 5th largest reserve in the world, 200 years worth of production on our current pace of development through our natural gas reserves. It takes that and through technology, innovative technology, turns it into products that the world needs. And the ammonia part, as Geoff said, is so critically important because with the interest in Alberta becoming a global hub for hydrogen investment, we need to be able to ship it. And right now, ammonia is the way to do that. So this is right on point. It also ensures a future for our traditional resource industry because every unit of natural gas that comes in for feedstock for projects like that requires upstream exploration and development, which means work for drillers. It means work for service companies. It means work, yes, for Canada's and Alberta's energy industry. And as I said, it also reduces emissions. So a win-win-win-win. I also want to focus for a second on the carbon capture aspect of this. And I see my friend Wayne Drysdale, former minister. Wayne is here. He was part of a government that was visionary in pursuing carbon capture as a strategy to show global leadership through Alberta in developing our resources while reducing emissions intensity. And they made some bold bets on investing in CCUS technology. And they were mocked and ridiculed by the know-it-alls, by the opposition in the legislature, by most in the media. And they said this was a pipe dream. But it turned out to be visionary, Wayne. The decisions that you guys made 10, 12 years ago. Because the cost per unit of CCUS sequestration has come down by over 50%. And the world is increasingly recognizing there will not be a future that reduces emissions without this technology. And Alberta, according to the Boston Consulting Group, has the second best geological formation on the planet for carbon sequestration. And because of those early investments, we now have one of the strongest CCUS infrastructures in the world, the Wolf Midstream, Alberta Carbon Trunk Line that takes sequestered carbon off the Quest facility in the industrial heartland. Sorry, that's Greenview's competitor. I shouldn't have mentioned them. And brings it down to the sedimentary basin to inject it for enhanced oil recovery. And by the way, listen to me here, Ottawa, we can develop conventional oil reserves through enhanced oil recovery as a part of our CCUS infrastructure at a net zero emission profile. This is exciting stuff. And just wanted to say we are fighting now to get the feds to put their money where their mouth is. And all of this talk about emissions and climate policy, if they want to make a difference, they can do it by helping us to replicate the American investment tax credit for carbon capture, utilization, and storage, their so-called 45Q, to make it refundable, stackable. And so we are working with the major oil sands producers and the Government of Canada to massively upscale the initial CCUS vision of Wayne and his colleagues back in the day. So let me say that Alberta's petrochemical sector, or chemical sector broadly, is comprised predominantly of petrochemicals, and that in 2019 was valued at $12 billion in our economy. And we believe in our natural gas vision that there is an opportunity to grow that to $30 billion in annual economic output by the end of this decade over the next 8 or 9 years. That would represent 90,000 direct and indirect jobs. And I'm happy to say that with an announcement like today's, we're well on our way to achieving that very ambitious goal. You may have seen the big announcement by Dow. It's a kind of a pre-announcement. They still have to go to a final investment decision. They haven't put a formal number behind that yet, but let me tell you, it is a big number. It would represent the largest capital investment in Alberta's economy in 15 years. And we have worked so hard because we are, as Travis alluded to, we know, and I think Geoff, you did too, we are competing with other jurisdictions on projects like the one being announced by Northern Petrochemicals today. Folks like this could take that capital and they could put it in Texas and Louisiana, where construction costs are lower, you can build year-round, labor costs are lower, and you're closer to markets. And so we have some built-in disadvantages, which means we have to be even more competitive. We are with our natural gas feedstock, we are with our CCUS, but we are crushing it now in terms of government policy. As Travis said, with the lowest business taxes in North America, save 6 American states, and President Biden is going to put us in #1 position when he raises the U.S. corporate tax rate. We'll be 60th out of 60 jurisdictions in terms of the business tax burden, creating the right regulatory framework. And part of that, by the way, and I want to commend Greenview for your vision in creating the industrial zone. I was up here as leader of the opposition about 3 years ago and was presented the vision about the industrial zone as a pre-approved regulatory zone, a plug-and-play for major industry to realize the potential of your proximity to the Duvernay and your skilled workforce, all of that together. And I was really impressed by that. And so we wrote into our platform in the last election a commitment to develop pre-approved regulatory zones. And that legislation is actually before the legislature this fall to facilitate what you are doing so that to help Greenview and your competitors down in the industrial heartland and perhaps other hubs to say that we have a section that is serviced, that is pre-approved, where we've done Indigenous consultation, where you can come in, plug and play to accelerate approval timelines, and we look forward to being partners with you on that. Finally, let me say, as Travis has alluded to, today's announcement is part of it adds to some very exciting momentum. Alberta is leading Canada in economic growth. In fact, Travis had to update his growth projection in his fiscal quarterly update from, I think, Travis, was about 4.7 to 6.5% growth this year. The economists say that Alberta is leading Canada in economic growth this year, and we'll do so again next year. We are second only to BC in job growth. We have seen all of the jobs lost during COVID replaced. We have seen the creation of 60,000 net new jobs in the last 3 months. The unemployment rate went down by nearly 0.5% last month alone. And we are just getting started here. I mentioned the huge Dow investment. Yesterday, I was in Calgary with Amazon Web Services, on Monday, to announce by far the single largest investment in the information technology sector in Alberta history, $4.3 billion from one of the big beasts in the global tech industry, Amazon Web Services. Now, we've announced several $billion of new tech investments over the past 6 months or so, which is very exciting. Alberta's tech sector is really taking off. But to have Amazon set up hard infrastructure as a key part of their global hub for managing their cloud services, 1,000 new high-paying tech jobs, that is a very big deal. That puts the seal of approval on Alberta as an emerging tech leader to advance our diversification. And this is not in opposition to oil and gas. So many of the brilliant people who are fueling the growth of our tech sector come out of oil and gas, are connected to our energy sector. They're engineers who are applying their technical skills to solving problems using tech. And And we have the best year ever in our lumber industry. Big deal up here in the Northwest. And we see more capital moving here from British Columbia, where they're over-regulated to benefit from access to fiber and smarter policies in Alberta. You'll see investments in mills coming up very shortly. Best year ever in film and television. By a factor of 5, with giant productions from places like HBO and MGM in Alberta. By the way, the biggest production in Canadian film or television history is being shot in Alberta right now by HBO. If they do all 3 seasons, I think they will. It represents about $650 million, training up a new workforce. We want to make sure that some of those shoots happen up here in the Northwest. And it's just a fair warning, it's a zombie movie. So if you see any zombies wandering around, you know why. But let me just wrap by saying this is an exciting time for Alberta. And gosh knows we need it. We've been through 5 tough years and 19 absolutely brutal months. But I always knew that you should never bet against the resilience and the entrepreneurial spirit of Albertans. And Geoff, you are an example of that. You've been building projects around the world, taking your Alberta know-it-all, your Alberta technical experience and know-how it all as well, and taking that know-how and applying it to problem solving in building around the world. Just as Albertans have done so much of the development of the modern oil and gas industry around the world, driven by innovation by Albertans. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you to Greenview for being, as Travis said, great partners. I mean, what a perfect example for the rest of the province, stepping up to the plate to help us, not arguing, not whinging, but actually stepping up to the plate as problem solvers in getting that Highway 40 twinning done, in leading on this industrial zone. You're being a great example to the province. So good luck. God bless you. We look forward to being here with all of you to cut the ribbon on this plant and to see Albertans benefiting from this investment in Alberta's future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier. Your comments were bang on. Can I just have Geoff, can you please come up here once again, and Minister Toews, along with our reeve? And we would just like one more formal picture up here.
Sure.
Yep. Social distancing, please. And then after that, there will be about a 10-minute networking business break. If I can ask everyone to kind of move over to this area towards for it. We will have then the media availability for these 4 going on over here. So we are running a little bit late. So sorry, I got to fix that. So 10 minutes networking.
Well, good morning, folks. I'm coming to you from up here in Greenview County, and I want to thank Tyler Olsen, the new reeve, for welcoming us. I'm also joined here by Finance Minister Travis Toews, and most importantly, Geoff Bury, President and CEO of Northern Petrochemical Corporation, which is Calgary-based, but has been building in the petchem industry around the world. We're here today for a really exciting announcement being hosted by the Greenview Industrial Gateway, which is an industrial zone in the Grande Prairie area that is leveraging the huge natural gas industry up here to welcome major new projects, particularly in the petrochemical sector. Today, Geoff announced the intention of Northern Petrochemicals to invest approximately $2.5 billion in a very exciting new project for ammonia production here in the Grande Prairie region that is estimated to create upwards of 4,000 construction jobs and over 400 long-term positions in a net zero project that syncs perfectly with Alberta's natural gas vision, our petrochemical strategy, and our hydrogen roadmap that we released just last week with Associate Minister Dale Nally. As Alberta's government has been saying, we really believe that we're set to become a global hub for the future multi-trillion-dollar hydrogen industry with our natural gas feedstock, with our carbon capture, utilization and storage infrastructure, and our great geology for sequestration, but also with our pro-business, our open-for-business, pro-investment policies, the job creation tax cut, our red tape reduction action plan, our pre-approved regulatory zones, linking up with areas such as the Greenview project, our petrochemical incentive program, our ability of municipalities to provide local tax incentives, all of which, together with our young, well-educated population and our natural advantages, is leading to a boom in the Alberta petrochemical sector, of which this project represents an important step forward. So we're thrilled to see this here happening today. And let me add that this is yet another example of Alberta leading the world in real practical measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We don't believe that punishing people for heating their homes is the way forward. We don't believe that shutting down the modern economy, especially in a cold northern climate like this, is the way forward. But investing in technology that actually reduces emissions while fueling the world's future economy, that's the solution, and that's what projects like this will help us to do. For those not aware, one of the challenges with hydrogen, for which there is huge growing global demand, is its transportation. And ammonia is a key formula for safely transporting hydrogen products around the world. So in closing, this exciting announcement today represents job creation. As I say, we estimate some 4,000 construction jobs and 400 permanent jobs. It represents a support for our traditional energy sector, because every unit of natural gas for projects like this requires upstream exploration and production, and which means service jobs. That's great for our traditional energy sector. It also represents diversification, because it will be producing products that are in demand around the world, increasing Alberta's exports. And finally, it demonstrates action on reducing emissions. So this is fantastic news on top of the recent announcement by Dow Chemicals for what will become, we believe, the largest capital investment in Alberta in over a decade. The exciting announcement from Amazon Web Services, the largest tech announcement in Alberta history. This is, I think, further evidence that Alberta is leading Canada in economic growth and recovery, and exciting announcement indeed. Looking forward to your questions. And I believe that the folks, the reeve minister and Geoff are also willing to take questions.
Thanks, Premier. We're going to just start with the journalists in the room here today. If you could just state your name as well as the outlet you're with before your question, and we can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Sean Penner, Everything GP. Good to see you again, Premier. What does an investment like this say about the Grande Prairie region and its, I guess, leadership in the energy diversification between this and the nautical methanol plant that brings investment here over $4 billion?
Absolutely. So I think it says that the Grande Prairie region is set for a period of sustained economic growth and marrying the traditional strength of the oil and gas reserves with technology in a way that diversifies our economy. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. It is such a fantastic development. Now, let me say that the northwest of the province has been one of the stabilizing parts of Alberta's economy during 5 tough years, partly because of some very fortunate timing in investments upstream in the Montney gas play up here, and some great companies that went through a period of low prices because they had confidence in the quality of these reserves, in their workers, and they became more efficient and more innovative. But this is a pretty diverse region. You've got forestry, you've got hard mining, you've got, of course, very vibrant agriculture. So altogether, the Northwest has been one of the bright spots during 4 or 5 pretty tough years for Alberta. But if you were missing something in this region, it was probably when industrial level value added and manufacturing of energy products. This has been a great place for resource development and extraction. But what the local leadership had the vision to do was to take some bold steps like Greenview that would invite and attract value-added manufacturing, which is the extra part. You know, it's great that you have the resources, but it's not good enough just to develop the resource. So I think this is the culmination of years of vision, effort, and leadership. I'd like to think that the Alberta government is helping those efforts as well. But it should say, let me just, I'll tell you this. If I was a real estate investor, after announcements like this today, I'd be buying in Grande Prairie, I'd be buying in Greenview County. I would be looking to the Northwest as a long-term area for sustained growth.
Sean, do you have a follow-up today?
Yes, my follow-up is for Reeve Olsen, actually. Reeve, I know a lot of work has gone into this Greenview Industrial Gateway, a lot of planning and a lot of effort. How crucial is it to have an anchor tenant such as this in developing this project?
This is, like you said, it's been a long-term project. We've been 5 years, and this is the next crucial step. It is the most crucial point right now to have someone in there to move it forward. With them in there, it only attracts more. We can now move forward with a solid effort that we have somebody there. So, like you said, it is the most crucial right now to have someone in there. It's a great announcement, bright spot for sure for right now.
Question for Geoff Bury, please. David Vincent at Today FM. Geoff, thanks for doing this again. I just wanted to ask you, your contributions have been seen in different continents across the world, and you've been working in the oil and gas industry for 30 years. What does that mean to you to see your work just at large all over the world?
Well, you know, you're right. I've spent most of my professional career working internationally. I'm very happy to be back here at home in Alberta. I am at Alberta, born and raised, and lived here most of my life. So I'm really happy to be able to bring an international type of project back here to Alberta. You know, when we were trying to decide where we were going to put this facility, we looked around the world, various different international jurisdictions, and we landed on Alberta to a large degree because of the Alberta government's support for the petrochemical industry. They've made that a priority, and also for the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program grant puts Alberta on the map and makes it competitive with other jurisdictions in the world. And then, you know, Alberta, as I said earlier today, is a big place. You know, we landed on Greenview Industrial Gateway because of everything it has to offer projects such as ours. It's got the availability of the land, obviously the natural gas feedstock is here, readily available, competitive prices. You've got rail, you've got water, you've got everything you need in order to make a project successful. And perhaps most importantly, you have the ability to capture and store the carbon to make the projects greener and friendlier to the environment.
Follow-up question for Tyler, please. So you mentioned you were putting a plan together in terms of working with the regional college. Is that specialized training that they would be working on at the college through a different program there?
So right now, it's just conversations that they're looking forward to, and we are looking to partner prospectively, and just we need the trades up here. So if we can bring more programs in, we're trying to move that forward so that we can have this workforce from the local and keep going that way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. We'll go to the phone lines now. Operator, can you please put through our first question?
Dale Lunan, Natural Gas World.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me? A couple of questions. First from Mr. Bury. Can I just get clarification on the capacity of this facility? I think you mentioned 200 million metric tons per year of blue methanol and blue hydrogen. Is that correct?
Yes, we will be producing a little over 200 million tons of blue methanol and blue hydrogen that will be converted to ammonia per year.
And how much ammonia are we talking about?
Right now, we're finalizing.
I'm not.
Yes, right now we're finalizing the split between methanol and ammonia, somewhere between 60-40 in favor of methanol to 50-50. We don't have the final split figured out just yet.
Okay. And a follow-up question for Mr. Kenney or Minister Toews. You mentioned that the contribution of APIP in the development of this project. Is there a financial contribution? Can you give me an estimate of what that would be? I don't expect it would be as high as $300 million, which is the 12% of $2.5 billion, but can you give me a ballpark?
No, we don't have an additional incentive beyond the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. Again, that program does provide up to 12% effectively investment of the capital costs of a project. The amount is paid for larger projects over the first 3 years of operation. And again, we did that so we could be very competitive with other jurisdictions, and we're just very excited with this announcement to date by Northern Petrochemical.
Perfect, thank you. Operator, can you please put through our next call?
Chris Barco, Calgary Herald.
Hi, I have a couple of questions for Mr. Bury. Geoff, can you tell us where are the customers for your product? Have you arranged them so far? And what is the status of the financing of the project? Have you made a final investment decision, and do you have the capital arranged?
Okay, thank you for your questions. The target market for our products is the Pacific Rim countries, Japan, South Korea primarily for the ammonia, and China primarily for the methanol. As far as final investment decision, we have not yet reached final investment decision. We're currently entering the basic engineering design phase of the project, which will be followed by FEED. Project financing will be secured as part of our effort to reach final investment decision.
Thanks, Chris. Do you have a follow-up today?
Yeah, actually, I have a question for the Premier. Premier, on a separate issue regarding Line 5, the White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary said yesterday that negotiations are going on between the United States and Canada regarding Line 5, and a shutdown is not being considered by the U.S. government. I guess I'm just wondering about your reaction to that and what you see as a resolution to this ongoing dispute.
Well, I sure as heck hope a shutdown is not an option, because it would be a gross and obvious violation of the bilateral treaty on pipeline operation. It would also, at a time when President Biden is begging OPEC to increase production because of the high price of oil and gas in the United States, it would lead to even higher prices, particularly for people in the upper Midwest of the United States. So it would be, for the American government to support the ridiculous efforts of Governor Whitmer to shut down her state's largest source of energy would be completely self-defeating. So, I appreciate what they said, but quite frankly, the President of the United States should be picking up the phone and calling his friend, Governor Whitmer, to say it's time that you've made your political point. It's time that you stopped threatening American energy supply. This is a president who's pleading with OPEC to ship more energy, to stabilize American energy markets, and he's got a political ally who is trying to destabilize American energy imports from America's closest and friendliest ally and neighbor. So this should not be, the U.S. federal government should not be taking a position of neutrality on this. In our view, they should be clearly supporting their legal obligations under that treaty and their vital economic interests by joining Canada, Alberta, and other provinces in opposing Governor Whitmer's reckless actions.
Thank you. We have time for about 3 more calls today. Operator, can you please put through our next call?
Dave Kaiser, City News.
Hi, good morning. Both my questions for the Premier. Firstly, Mr. Premier, how will this be different than other energy projects that we've seen fail? I mean, Keystone XL, obviously one of those big ones. Is it a good idea to put even more money in the sector when, like you said, tech and film is booming and investments there would probably diversify the economy more?
So this really has nothing comparable to a heavy oil pipeline to the United States. Just to be clear, the announcement today from Northern Petrochemicals is about adding value to natural gas feedstock in a net zero emitting context for products that are in massive demand around the world. Film and television and tech is great. We want to see growth right across our economy, as we are. But projects like this are at an industrial scale that are game changers. This does represent diversification. As I said, it's a marriage between our traditional energy industry and diversification through tech and innovation. So tech doesn't just mean people in front of keyboards in a downtown office. Some of the most innovative technology happens in plants and projects exactly like this, which is the end result of billions of dollars of research and applied science and technology. So we should count projects like this as being part of the expansion of Alberta's tech and innovation industry. This is not, I think what people imagine a big industrial plant like this will be, and they think this is old technology. The truth is that the ability to develop products like this is only because of huge investments in tech. And I mean, these guys are going to have, I'm sure, some of the brightest minds in the innovation sector working on their project, as will these other petrochemical projects. So the petrochemical strategy, part of our natural gas vision, is a key part of Alberta's recovery plan, of our diversification efforts. And it's about taking our natural resources, adding enormous value to provide products that are in demand around the world. I just think it's exactly what we need more of. And finally, we want to make sure that Alberta's economic recovery lifts up every region of the province and workers from all backgrounds. What a project like Amazon Web Services is fantastic, great news for folks in the tech industry in Calgary. But this region is playing off of its greatest strengths to ensure its future growth. And by the way, for rig hands and hardworking blue-collar folks in the service industry who are not going to become computer programs tomorrow, this also represents the ability for them to put food on the table for their families for decades to come.
And Saif, did you have a follow-up today?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mr. Premier. Off-topic question for you here. The NDP is pushing for your censure, saying you need to be reprimanded for the way you've handled the pandemic. What are your thoughts about it, and are you concerned people from your party like Leela here who've been calling on your resignation would vote for that censure?
Well, it's just more political games from the NDP that sadly has treated COVID-19 not as an opportunity to come together, but rather for division. They have sought to politicize COVID-19 in Alberta from day one. The only opposition party in Canada to have done that from the very beginning. I think that's regrettable. Our eye is on the ball, focused on protecting lives and livelihoods through whatever is left of COVID. We're glad to see that the fourth wave is clearly under control, and the numbers have come down sharply since our government took measures, and thanks to Albertans stepping up to the plate. We've got our vaccination rates up very significantly. I mean, up here in the Grande Prairie, in the city at least, we were struggling to get over 50% not long ago. We're now at 72% first dose coverage. So things are going absolutely in a good direction. We're happy to see that, and we're not interested in NDP political games.
Thank you. Operator, can you please put through our penultimate caller?
Vernon, Global News.
Mr. Premier, I'll start with you just because you're at the podium there. The School of Public Policy put out a report this morning essentially saying that the economic benefits do not outweigh the cost when it comes to both eastern slopes of the Rockies. Is your government still considering moving forward on a plan that would see coal development in that area of the province, or are you willing to consider a ban as this report suggests?
Well, as you know, Minister Savage has appointed a special advisory committee to consult Albertans broadly on getting coal policy right to ensure a future for responsible resource development, at the same time environmental protection, especially of sensitive ecosystems along the eastern slopes. I would point out that Alberta has been responsibly mining coal along various parts of the eastern slopes for about 140 years. Apart from agriculture, it's the oldest industry in Alberta since European settlement of this part of the continent. So I think it's important to keep that in perspective. In fact, just west of where I am in Grande Cache, a community that was at risk of becoming a ghost town, frankly, it now has a new lease on life because of renewal of a long-standing metallurgical coal project there, which is developing a resource safely that is in global demand to produce steel. You can't operate a modern economy, an industrial economy, without steel. You can't produce steel without metallurgical coal. And if it's going to be produced, I'd rather it be produced at the highest environmental standards on earth here in Alberta than in countries that have low or no environmental standards. So I think I would invite whoever wrote that paper to come up and have a coffee around the kitchen table with the coal mining families in Grande Cache. Come and meet the small business people who've been struggling under enormous pressure to keep their community and their businesses alive. I would encourage them to get out of the office in Calgary, go down to meet with Chief Stanley Greer, Chief of the Piikani First Nation in southwestern Alberta, who was very emotional talking to me about how important some of these projects are to move his people from poverty to prosperity. So I think it's important to look at the human dimension of this as well, of course, as the imperative to protect our environment.
Thanks, Premier. Tom, do you have a follow-up today?
I do, and it's for Mr. Bury. We talked about export markets on the Pacific Rim. How do we get out of here? Would it all go by train, or are there other options that are being looked at? How does this work?
Well, initially, the primary route to market will be by rail, and as the demand and production of ammonia increases, perhaps there'll be an option for pipeline as well.
Great. Thanks very much, Mr. Bury. Operator, can you please put through our last call of the day?
Lisa Johnson, Post Media.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my question. I just wanted to pin down, following up on one of the previous questions, how much exactly the APIP contribution to this could be. Is the government willing to contribute $300 million, that full 12% to this project?
So the answer is yes. We made a commitment to Albertans and to investment proponents with the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program to effectively support their projects with a contribution of up to 12% of the capital cost of the project. Now, again, we did that to ensure that we could be competitive in Alberta, competitive with jurisdictions such as Texas, Louisiana, elsewhere, other jurisdictions as well in the world. And one real positive about this program is that the funding doesn't flow until the project is completed and operational. And from that standpoint, of course, we protect Albertans' investments to ensure that we're not funding a project that ultimately doesn't get off the ground. Projects like this have potential to generate billions of dollars in revenues for governments in the future. And for us to leverage our natural advantage in petrochemicals, we have to ensure that broadly we have a competitive landscape.
Thanks, Minister. Lisa, do you have a follow-up today?
Yeah, on that point, the fact that the the government funding doesn't get paid out until facilities are operational. And I know that it also includes or can potentially include expansion projects, not just new facilities. Has any money gone out the door under the APIP program, or is it all still on future balance sheets?
This is a program that was just announced and implemented recently, so no, dollars haven't gone out the door on this initiative. As I think you may know, it replaced the Petrochemical Diversification Program, and this APIP program, incentive program, is a vastly improved program. Money hasn't gone out the door yet, but it has certainly invoked significant interest in investment proponents in landing their project in Alberta.
Thanks, Minister. That wraps things up for today. Thanks, everyone.